Okay, picture this. You're in the drink aisle, staring at the wall of sodas, and you've got that choice to make, regular or diet. For like forever, we've been told one of those is the smart, healthy decision. But what if that so-called healthy choice is actually hiding a pretty serious risk for one of your most important organs?
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? Grabbing the diet can, it feels like you're dodging a bullet, you know? But what if you're not? We're about to dive into some new research that might just make you completely rethink that healthy swap.
So why do we even make this choice in the first place? Well, it all comes down to this idea of a guilt-free treat. It's our way of having our cake and eating it too, or, having our soda and drinking it too, without the baggage.
And the logic seems so straightforward, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got your regular soda. It's packed with sugar, loaded with calories. That's the obvious problem. And then over here, you've got diet soda, promising zero sugar, zero calories. It's just perfectly positioned as the healthy alternative. And for millions of us, that's a really compelling argument.
But, and this is a big but, this is where the story takes a really sharp turn. Because new research has found this surprising and honestly kind of concerning link between both types of drinks and one of our most vital organs, our liver.
The condition we're talking about here is called MASLD. Now, put simply, it's just a buildup of fat in your liver that isn't caused by alcohol. And this is a really big deal. MASLD can lead to way more serious issues like heart disease. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how critical our liver health really is.
And here it is. This is the big headline finding that got everyone's attention. Researchers found that a higher risk for this liver disease wasn't just linked to sugary drinks. It was linked to both, the sugary kind and the diet kind. All of a sudden, that healthy alternative is in the exact same boat as the obvious problem.
Whoa, that is a huge claim, right? So let's do this. Let's break down the actual numbers. Where in the world does this startling conclusion come from?
So, the evidence comes from something called the UK Biobank, which is this massive and super respected data source. And just look at these numbers. Over 100,000 people were followed for more than a decade. This is not some small, short-term thing. The sheer scale here is what gives these findings so much weight. They focused on people drinking more than 1 can a day and found this really clear, troubling link to liver disease.
Okay, let's really look at the data. That first bar shows that drinking more than a can of sugary soda a day was linked to a roughly 50% greater risk for MASLD. That's a lot. But now look at the next bar. That's the diet drinks. The risk there was even higher, around 60%. Just let that sink in for a second. The option we all thought was safer was actually associated with a slightly greater risk. But wait, the story doesn't even end there. As the researchers dug deeper and deeper, they found an even more alarming difference between these two kinds of drinks.
Yeah, it turns out when it came to the absolute most severe outcomes, the risks were not equal. The study uncovered a danger that was specifically and uniquely tied to the diet drinks, the ones so many of us choose for our health.
And this is the most alarming part of the whole thing. When it came to dying from a liver-related issue, the study found no significant link for the sugary drinks. But for diet drinks, they found a significant association with a higher risk of death from liver disease. And here's the kicker. This risk was dose-dependent, which just means the more diet drinks a person drank, the higher their risk became.
Okay, that is a lot of heavy, kind of scary information, I get it. But the study didn't just point out all the problems, it also highlighted a very simple and really powerful solution. This is the good part. This is about what we can actually do. First off, the researchers looked at what happens if you just switch from one type of soda to another. And the results were crystal clear. It doesn't help. Swapping a regular soda for a diet one, or even a diet for a regular one, did not change the risk for developing MASLD. It's a lateral move, not a step forward.
But here is the really empowering part of this story. The researchers also figured out what would happen if you swapped just one of those daily sugary drinks for plain old water. The result? A nearly 15% decrease in the risk of MASLD. That is a huge positive impact from just one tiny change.
So after looking at all this data, what's the big takeaway? What should we remember the next time we're thirsty and standing in front of that cooler?
Now, we do have to be responsible here and add some important context. This research hasn't been peer-reviewed yet, and it shows a correlation, right? Not a direct cause and effect thing. Also, the data relies on people telling researchers what they drank. But even with those limitations in mind, these findings are sending a really powerful signal.
This quote from registered dietitian Karen Berg just sums it up so perfectly. We've been conditioned to see labels like 0 calories as a total green light for health. But this study is a huge reminder that what's inside the can, the chemicals, the artificial sweeteners, that stuff matters. It suggests the healthiest option might just be the simplest one of all: water.
And all of this leaves us with a much bigger question. I mean, this explainer was about soda, but the idea here applies to so much more. It's really a challenge to all of us to look past the fancy marketing words on the front of the package. So if diet isn't always the answer, what other healthy habits in our lives might be due for a second look?